Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We had some audio issues, but we are good to go right now. So we're going to do a speed run for this analyst desk. We're going to ask our analysts, Lemon, Kiwi, and Panda, one thing about each team and who they think are going to win. So 1 Point and That's a Disband are both coming in hot into their matchup. That's a Disband's at 1-3, so this is an elimination game for them. And 1Point's coming in at 2-2, currently in 4th place in Contenders Trials. Top 4 make it into Contenders proper. And so now we're going to go to Lemon, Kiwi, give us kind of a Spark Notes version of 1Point, who to watch and who you think is going to win.
All right, let me get right to the point about 1Point, no pun intended. But their last win was against Northern Lights, Open Division champs. But, you know, we've talked about how they've had some roster issues, so nothing to brag about. But also that 1Point have some Team Portugal players, so you know they're stacked. They have Horthic, Mauzasa, and Fad that were on Team Portugal. So they have some very talented players, but I want to keep my eye on Horthic.
Awesome. 1Point, That's a Disband. Who's taking it, Lemon?
Oh God. On Control, I got to favor 1Point. Their only map 1 loss was to Bazooka, while as Disband have only won map 1 once, and that was to Bazooka. So got to favor that 1Point on map 1.
All right. And so remember, this is a 4-map set. So just like Overwatch League, we'll see all 4-map types. Panda, Spark Notes, prediction, who to watch for?
Well, that's a Disband. I mean, though they did end up stumping out the puppies yesterday, I am sticking with the underdogs from the underground this time round. I'm going to go ahead and stick with them. I mean, but that's a Disband altogether. We know Izzy is a fantastic shot caller. Mouse is popping off on Tracer, making it look easy even when Brigetta is on the playing field itself. Definitely my player to watch out for. Look for those big plays in the back line, left and right.
All right. Awesome, guys. We're going to go straight to the casters. They're going to break down this game just a little bit as well. But if you care about my opinion, I'm saying 1.31, who is with me. But bringing us the cast today is a Blank and Trid. Boys, tell us a little bit about these teams and take it away. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Book. Yes, that's right. I'm Trid. I've got Blank with me. We're going to be handling this Contenders trial matchup between 1Point and That's a Disband. We're jumping onto Ilios to kick things off, but Blank, both these teams have been playing a lot of games in the past 2 weeks. So where are they at the moment?
So 1Point, they've had some revisions so far. They've been trying to do their homework as much as possible. They lost out the other day, weren't able to quite take the victory. But yesterday, That's a Disband. They've had a huge boost to their confidence. Right, so these guys, they won against the favorites. It was Bazooka Puppies at 10-2. Now they're at 10-5 after losing out to these guys from That's a Disband. 1Point, they know how to play this, though. They've been doing it well so far. They've not had the roughest of streaks. They're 2-2 at the moment. That's a Disband at 1-3. We'll have to see how this plays out, but That's a Disband. They're looking reinvigorated and ready to come into this next match.
Well, you got to be reinvigorated after a victory after the #1 team yesterday. That's Bazooka Puppies they managed to take down. So let's see how they can fare against 1Point. And out the gate, we see Tracer, Zenyatta. Nothing out of the ordinary here with the pharmacy composition from Zeal up in the air already.
Yeah, at 1Point, they're kind of playing this 3-3 comp, so they're pretty used to playing this, and it's quite strong. The only problem is they're going against That's a Disband. Zeal is in the air with the Pharah, which means she's playing down a lot of damage and will get the barrage extremely quickly, which could remove 1Point from the point itself.
And you've already seen Zaza pushing himself out of the point. The early cap coming out for 1Point, just trying to hold against That's a Disband. You see Zeal from the side. They've secured themselves, and now it's all about That's a Disband aggressing onto them. And Zeal really getting some work done with this Pharah, firing the rockets in, getting damage against the shield composition, just really whittling it down for 1Point, finding all these angles. He's got the barrage available. He could go in like Santa Claus if he wants to. Just needs to get him off the point. He's going for the 1v1. That's an incredibly low Barbie running away. He has to get back to the fight, and they've secured themselves on the point yet again and fought off the aggression from That's a Disband.
Yeah, but we saw a quick switch from Mouse onto the Junk right here, and this is good. But at the same time, 1Point want this to happen. They want to retain as much ult charge as possible as they come into these upcoming fights, but there's the barrage.
Well, Riptide's going in as well. I think he's going down the chimney. No, he's wrapping around over the roof, finding an unshielded Reinhardt, but he gets his shield up in time. The Graviton Surge pulling them all together. That's a Disband locked into one place, but not much capitalization coming out from 1Point. Barbie, he's going for the hit and run. Got the self-destruct in his pocket, ready to pop off. He's going to get D-Mech. Use it fast for the refresh. You see That's a Disband jumping onto Frost. He's in the corner, using the shield to keep himself alive, and the rest of 1Point have filtered in to reinforce him, and That's a Disband have been forced off yet again.
1Point staying so stalwart on this point in the moment, valiantly holding that to Disband off, as you've been saying so far, Trid, and they've retained some armor from that previous rally as well as Horfix at 20%, and Scalar also has the Moira ultimate in the pocket just in case, but Malzahn going down, which means that Reinhardt, the linchpin, is no longer in the front lines and it's time to go in.
Scalar with the Coalescence, keeping everyone topped up. He's feeling the lightning behind him. You can already see Colsty coming in from the back, but Barbie's got the pick onto Horfik, so there's no more Brigitte. Holding them together, Transcendent's going to fight through that Graviton Surge and the damage coming out. Nothing to super capitalize on that. But you can see the self-destruct removing Junkrat from the fight. And they're going to keep themselves back inside. The barrage comes out from Zeal at the last second. A lot of it eaten by the defense matrix. Just needs to get that hippity-hoppity Lucio, and he might be able to turn the tide of the battle for that to Disband. But he's taken to the skies to hunt down Barbie. That's a direct to get the D-Mech, taking out Malzahn. No more Reinhardt to block the shots. They're getting the progress ticking at 99% in overtime. It looks like that's a Disband could turn this around.
Finally, they take this one back. It's just the supports on 1Point, holding the rest of the team off. Scalar, quick fade away, keeps them on the point for a little bit longer, but they take it anyway. The supports are doing a great job to keep these guys off the point. Unexpected from us. Frost coming in and cleaning up the rest of the kills.
So that's Lighthouse going over to 1Point. They hit it hard early and they maintained the 100% to 0 capture throughout the entire round. We're going to jump into the next map. That's going to be well for Ilios, and they can take this first map if they just win this next round. So the earnest is on that to Disband to equalize, and of course, force out the final map.
So now Horfix switching over to Sombra, and this is his pocket pick, right? He picks into it. The only thing with 1.22 with a new buff Brigitte, who has a lesser, 20% more uptime on her shield bash, the cones enlarged, this rally is 150 armor. Horfik on the Sombra really takes a lot of damage to that. So as soon as you switch off, he sees the Brigitte, you'll probably see Horfik go over to a more conventional DPS in this case.
So he's leading the charge with the Sombra, hover-handing, just missing out on that health pack, but the rest of 1Point's going to storm through anyway. That's a Disband, putting up a solid wall to keep them out. You see Brusson spraying down with the bullets, gets a kill on to Colsty. No more monkey for him. Zeal getting a kill onto Malzahn, but they're still fighting over this interior. Hack going to shut down that Genji as he has to retreat. Bruce trying to create some space for his team, force him out onto the well, but that's a Disband who's got priority on the position. He had Zeal, he's going to fall straight down the well, I believe. Yes, there he is, he's gone straight down. Coalescence going to whittle him down throughout and force him back into that corner, not letting 1Point get onto this point. A little bit of misplacement there with the help of Izzy. That boot going to force Malzahn down the well. And Bruce doing all he can to keep it alive. Horfix turning it around for his team, though. You see, we got Frost and Bat there as well on the point as the supports, and 1Point looks like they've got this lockdown straight away.
I love the highlighted Horfik there, Trid, because he's absolutely doing so insanely well. I mean, the hacks, right? You'll see a lot of Sombras, they'll come in, they'll just hack the first target they see. At the moment, he's going for the critical hack on top of Zeal. That's no more double jump, no more dash, and no more wall jump. So he's just having a terrible time, and that's extremely difficult to work around when you're especially on well.
Now Frost from the back line gets the sticky. He's going to go into multiple members. The fade away going to keep that Moira alive. Barbie picking up a double for himself, but Zeal, he's just got a wet noodle being thrown around. No kills to be found for him. Going to get into the face of the Diva. Lock her down. Mal's going around the side, finds Horfik on the return, gives him a nice little wave, and we'll move on to the point to try and contest it. But that's a Disband. They look like they've successfully turned this around. Mal's just going monkey hunting. Going to get that blunderbuss out to blast him away, but that's a Disband, taking control of the point, going to whip it around. Only stalls coming out for now from 1Point. They're going to get some progress on the board for the first time on Ilios.
Yeah, so they've done very well. 44%, that's nothing to scoff at, right? To 0%, that's decent. But that's a Disband. We've got to take a look at their ult lineup. During those last staggers, they built a lot up quite quickly. Mouse has a pulse bomb, wants to hit that onto the backline, and we've seen that he can deliver as a singular assassin away from the group. So we'll see after he goes in now.
Needs to get himself in position. Nothing to be found with that pulse when we just threw out. The Trace is going to be able to get that ticking right back up, unless, of course, Frost takes him out in the 1v1. Zeal holding the line with that deflect. The bubble shield is down for the rest of the team to try and push forward. That's the Dragon Blade coming out straight into the sound barrier. Zeal being burnt down by the Coalescence yet again, unable to find someone, but on the last tick of the blade, finds Scalar to cut through him. Frost building down the tanks, keep on doing what he's been doing all game. Beaten to the back of the head by Mouse. going to go down with that pulse bomb, so unable to get that one out for this fight. So hopefully the team can store that a little bit longer. Mouse onto the point. Wants to take out that Lucio, denied all down, 52%. So they've overtaken 1 and they're building up the ultimates. They've got the defensive position to try and take well home.
Mouse, our special operative in action right now. He goes in, he finds the targets that he wants, these backline targets when they're unprotected, and Frost at the moment just isn't cycling out that recall very efficiently. So he uses it very early in the fight, and after that, that's the Disband take notice of it and go immediately onto him.
And now using the high ground, this funnel's not working so well for 1. They know exactly where they're going to be on the side of that to Disband, so they can force them back out. You can see the kills are being wrapped up yet again for that to Disband. Little resistance coming out. You've only seen Malzaza trying to really overload those cybernetics for Genji with those lightning, but it's going to be forced back, and that's the Disband still holding strong here. They're whipping up to 90%. Just 9 more to go. Final push for 1. Let's see how they pull it off.
So now it's a Disband. They want to stay on this point for as long as possible. And Tri-Spear with the Coalescence, he'll be able to hose down the rest of his team, keep them nice and healthy. But there comes the Diva Bomb.
Diva Bomb onto the point. You can see they've ascended to the sky to get in the cover. Bruson still finding Zeal. That could be the window they need to get into this point and take it back and close out Ilios. But the overtime still in play. The EMP going to hack everyone and lock him down. Horfik yet again with the kills. But Mouse with the pulse bomb capitalizes on Bruson being D-Mech. Horfik again with the hack, keeping him at a distance. 1 have the position on the point itself. They're starting to get the capture. The Coalescence can't deny the victory, and he's hacked the counter it early. Horfik is a machine, and 1 are going to use that to take back the point.
If Horfik is a machine, then Malzaza is the cogs that make him up. He's given him so much space at the moment to get these hacks off. But the thing is, what we saw there is the sound barrier still came off despite the EMP. But regardless, getting that EMP off early meant a lot of the rest of the players who are heavily reliant on their abilities weren't able to go in. But quickly, that's the Disband with the aggression.
Gonna go in. There's the pulse bomb thrown out, unable to get a kill yet. Zill opening up with a kill this time rather than waiting to the last second. But Malzaza with the primal rage gonna take him out. Frost going in close, can't get the completion on that kill to confirm it. And now they're gonna keep whittling down on that Diva mech. Gonna get him out of the mech, but they need to get the kill as well. Barbie retreating back. He's getting reinforcements from his support to keep him alive. Frost really struggling to fight through the healing that's coming out as Kolsty gonna get another primal rage kill. Gonna find Horfik this time, throws the pulse bomb out. Frost on 11 HP, has to fall back. They still have control. They're starting to match. That's a Disband's percentage. Frost, he's gonna lead the charge back onto the point. 1 so close to the victory on Ilios. Just need to find a couple more kills. Goes in to try and find Tri-Spear. The Coalescence won't sustain him through it. Only a mini Diva and a Lucio remaining. 1 should be able to finish this off. They just need to find that final kill. Keep him off the point. Lucio running disruption. Here comes Mouse with the reinforcement. Find him before he can recall and get that health. The overtime still in play. It's going to whittle down so fast when they finally step off. Pulse bomb straight onto Reinhardt, taking him out with precision for Frost. As he's going to whittle down the rest of them. Overtime ticking. No members there. Finally, Zeal, he gets onto the point, but he's going to get whittled down straight away by that Coalescence. 1 are going to take Ilios.
1 doing so well to take this map 2-0. It looked like it wasn't going in their favor at first, but Frost, he got his act together, starting to use that recall a lot more efficiently in that fight, just backed off, disengaged. And again, it will be 1 taking this map. Surprisingly, it looks like the momentum is gone for the time being for that Disband. We'll see if they can bring that one back up to speed on the next match.
We're just looking at the play of the game here from Tri-Spear, whittling them down. Anyway, so we're looking to go into the second map shortly. Going to give the teams a quick break, but Blank, a lot of strong performances on the Tracer play there on both the maps. We were able to see, unfortunately, we weren't able to see that final map because that's a Disband, despite starting strong, were unable to hold their form, and 1 came back swinging.
Yeah, and it seems like 1 they've started to re-envision how they choose to go up against these matchups, right? So a lot of the times you were seeing that's a Disband playing around their tempo. So 1 we're always playing the correct comps that they're going into. So they're definitely doing the homework, right, to learn up on these guys they're going against. And once they had full control of the point, they just held it. And I think it's a lot of communication coming out from this tank line to keep their backline safe. And once Frost, like I said, in that final match on Well, was starting to use himself a lot more and working as a special operative, just like Mouse was on the enemy team, they started to take a lot more of the control back, a lot of ground quite quickly.
It seems to be a pattern in Europe, especially at the Contenders T2 level, that Genjis and their Dragon Blades haven't been super effective or efficient with them. And I think that was evident there from Zeal. We got a couple of kills with the Dragon Blade, but you want to see your Genjis popping off a little bit more like they are in the North American region. So I don't know if they want to stick with that moving into future maps. I don't think Genji's been a strong pick for Europe, but Zeal's committing to it. What do you think of the Genji pick coming from Zeal?
I mean, I said at the beginning, so when you see a Sombra, right, versus a Genji, once a Genji is hacked, and Horfik, he doesn't mess around with his hacks, right? He immediately sees the target he wants, which is Zeal, hacks him, no more his abilities are available, and he becomes just like a sitting duck in the water. At that point, you really want to switch up your comp. You might lose some ult percentage, but if you do it earlier in the fight, you can get away with it. Switching up the Brigitte would really put a dent in One.PoinT's car as they're trying to drive forwards into this team. It'd be so much more difficult for Horfik to operate. At the moment, it's so easy for Malzahar to create space that tears the cannon onto the front line, and then Horfik just sits on the sidelines in cover with Malzahar's Winston shield, which has 800 shield. It's difficult to pump through when you have not a huge damage team.
And then moving on further through the map, you touched on it slightly there. The Sombra from Horfik was the big impact player right there, I think, on well for One.PoinT. They were able to get multiple hacks out, shut down enemy teammates very efficiently, and just be everywhere in a nuisance. Even if he wasn't getting kills, he was drawing the attention of the Tracers to make sure they were focusing him rather than the backline supports. And speaking of which, we saw performances there from Scalar on the Moira. Despite them not being able to hold out the point, he was definitely one of the stronger players on that to Disband.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what really interested me, right, is that a lot of the Moira orbs had a massive uptime. And tend to what you see is divas will immediately, at least at this high level play, matrix the orb and take it out of the fight almost immediately, because that's 300 HP in that one orb, and that's massive to staying in these fights at the moment. And if you allow that to stay up, we saw that One.PoinT just had the staying power, and that's a Disband just weren't able to pump through it. So the moment Scalar's playing very well, it's unfortunate for Tri-Spirit at the moment because Horfik is just always able to shut him down with the hacks, because that coalescence will go down real quick if you hack it. It's just immediately out of the water. Moira sat there confused, like, where'd my coalescence go?
Yeah, we saw it being cancelled out early multiple times in that map. So we're going to be moving on to the next archetype of maps. It's going to be hybrid. We're not certain what the map pick is going to be for either of these teams, but we do know it's That's a Disband who get to decide what map it will be from the map pool, which I believe is following what we saw in Contenders Season 1. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, Blank. It should be, is it Season 1 map pool or Season 2 map pool for Contenders?
I believe it will be Season 1. You have Blizzard World Route 66 in there, so we are going over to Blizzard World now.
Okay, so it's Season 2 map pool, so you're going to see this in full effect when we jump into the Season 2 of Contenders Europe in particular, and That's a Disband, One.PoinT. That's what they're here to do ultimately, compete to get their spot in there. That's a Disband to return, and One.PoinT to just get in there and join that upper echelon of T2 Overwatch. But let's have a look at what's going to be happening first on Blizzard World. So let's have a look at the defensive team to begin with. It's One.PoinT starting out. Let's have a look at what they brought to the field.
So One.PoinT over here, we'll see if they pick all their matches up straight away, just like they are. Malzahar straight onto the Rhine, Bat on Mercy, and Horfik on the Brigitte with Scalar on Senya. Now this is a huge high damage team with the 1 DPS, and they said they like to play it soft, and it's the most comfortable one is the 2-3-1 comp with just 1 DPS. Now, Malzahar, what they're really going to try and do here is Frost going to try and create the space from the right side, and then the huge amount of damage coming out from Fat and Scalar with the damage boost and the Disc Orb is going to allow Malzahar to put the pressure on Colsty and the rest of his team. Then he's going to lay down the shadow.
And that's a Disband running with that double dive composition. Malz and Zeal on the Tracer and Genji yet again. So they're going to be trying to go into One.PoinT. It might not be as favorable against this composition, but let's see how they can pull it off.
So initially at the beginning here, we're just feeling each other team out at the moment. They don't want to go in too hard too quickly. But you see Malz already on the point, and Malzahar is just trying to hold him off for the time being, keeping that shield up, getting that shield time, and now goes the dive straight into the backline.
They're already onto Brigitte, keeping her back onto the stage 2 of the map, but they've cleared out lots of space to start making progress on the point itself. Tri-Spear getting the first kill on the game onto Fats. They're missing their Mercy on the side of One.PoinT. No Resurrection if you take out the Resurrector, as Frost returns a kill of his own. Zeal going to cut through him, so the DPS is staying strong. Horfik now playing this Brigitte. shuts down Colston as he jumps in. They're now contesting. Malzaza has to stay on that point because that's a Disband so close to getting the capture. Zeal, and look, speaking of things being close, Dragon Blade available for him. He's going to fall back with the rest of the team, I think, and go after they know they got that rally out from Vegeta.
Now, this is really actually quite strong because the rally was popped as the fight was being won, which means a lot of this team is going to retain all the armor. And in this 1.22 patch, that is 150 armor on 3 tank comps like this, where you have Horfik kind of operating as an off tank, and then Bruce and Malzaza. That huge amount of armor to chew through is going to be so difficult and make things difficult for Colsty and Barbecue, who have low damage weapons, and Zeal, he's not going to have to cut them through that one too easy.
Well, a huge amount of ultimates on That's a Disband. It's all about how they play this set piece to get that final piece of the pie for the point A capture and move on to the escort section. He goes high with the Dragon Blade, cuts into behind, already has the answer of that Transcendence coming out fat, losing the Valkyrie as well, but it's forcing out Tri-Spear's Transcendence, so 2 support ultimates for 1 at present. And the fight continues, no casualties yet. But there's a double bomb from Barbie over top, finding Frost and Brucen, and Malzaza. He's going to swing the hammer, hold the line, but that's a Disband with the man advantage looking to capitalize. They're struggling to take out Brigitte with her healing and the Mercy in the back being in the pocket to support her. But there we go, they're taking flat out of the sky. Just need to find that quasi-tank support that Horfik's running. They clear out the rest of 1 point. They get the capture, and they're going to move on to the escort section of Blizzard World.
Just a slight misplay from Brewston there. His personal shield actually went off just about 0.5 seconds too early, and then the actual self-destruct coming out from Barbecue took him out there. Frost went down, as well as I think he must have run out of blinks, or at least thought he was in a protected situation. So great situational awareness from Barbecue. We've seen him pull out these Diva bombs all game. Like so far on like maps like King's Row, he's finding a consistent 2 kills.
See the pulse bomb yet again. Mal's playing tank hunter, even on Blizzard World, as he removes Malzaza from the field. That's a window of opportunity for that to Disband, to capitalize on Frost, taking that Tri-Spear, Transcendence going in. Not a huge committal from that to Disband. Zeal in the air, getting a double on the far as Mal's. He's playing the ground game and getting behind them, changing their focus, making sure they can't focus on just one DPS source and shut it down consistently. Horfik will end his life, but Izzy brings back Mouse to the fray. Zeal's done all the work he needs to, and the payload has not stopped, and it just keeps on rolling.
Yeah, you know what else hasn't stopped, or at least stopped now, is Horfik's rally. Popped that quite late in that fight, and now they won't be enjoying any of that armor that he was giving out towards the end. Frost really needs to pick up his game on this Widow at the moment, needs to find the key kills, and there's one of them. Doesn't take out the pesky Tracer too soon.
Graviton Surge holding his team in. He's going to answer with the barrage to keep him off and stop him from capitalizing, but he's stationary in the air for Frost to ding out of the sky. Self-destruct, running to the back. Another double kill for Barbie, this time finding himself fat and Frost. So no Lucio, no Widowmaker. Scaler on the back line, channeling his inner Jonak, trying to get some kills. He's going to have to channel harder because he's got Mal's in his face. Pulse bomb throw down, managed to evade it, but he can't evade the bullets. Scaler will fall to Mal's as he goes for another assassin run. You see the silhouettes of Malzaza and Horfik in the back, dueling down with someone, but with 30 HP, Mal's needs to find some healing and fall back and retreat and regroup with That's a Disband.
They need a quickly. Yeah, they need to go for a quick group hug. Maybe put all their hands in the middle and cheer, and as they come back in. But Fat, he has the sound barrier, so no more cheering, but rather DJing at the moment. But Zeal finds Frost in the background, and this is the go sign for That's a Disband.
Here's the switch. He's got the shot onto Frost, trying to get another one, forcing out the Transcendence from Scaler, keep himself alive. No one's committing to the fight, so that's huge for That's a Disband. If they can then use that cooldown to capitalize and find a set piece play. Barbecue from the high ground, raining down those bullets onto Malzaza. The micro missiles, they're coming, so it's a little bit of sleet into the mixture. He's got that self-destruct ready to go. Frost, he's given the wall hacks, let him know where the rest of the team is. That's the Disband falling back for the time being, but they're gonna need to put the aggression back on. With 1 minute 10 on the clock, they're gonna have to pull something out to keep it. They're so close to keeping Blizzard World alive for them.
I know I keep saying this, Trade, but all that armor coming out from Horfik's rally is making it so difficult. And the running dive into armor makes it so hard to do because it will half the majority of the damage coming out from the monkey there. But another one of those barbecue quick bombs will barbecue the rest of this team, and now Transcendence forced out.
Clashing on the ground. Sound barrier to answer for them. Brusen, sitting on the Graviton Surge. Doesn't need to commit the Valkyrie. Can't even keep that mech alive. But here comes the Graviton Surge to pull the exposed targets together. 1Point with an incredibly clean wipe onto that to Disband to shut them down with 30 seconds left on the clock.
I'm talking a clean here, Trade. This is so surgical and precise. The way they go about their strategies is so strong from 1Point. Brusen made sure he waited for Barbecue's Diva Make to go down before he used that Graviton and then held up the projected barrier when it was needed. These guys have got to get back on, they got to get back on quick. That's a bit of this man waiting for the entire team to get here, and we'll go over the high ground to try and take some high ground advantage.
Riding around with 3 seconds on the clock. The problem is they have to touch that payload because they're going to go into overtime. So 1Point have them exactly where they want them. Frost removing Tri-Spear. That's one support down. The healing might not be available for them. That's the Transcendence keeping the rest of 1Point alive. Frost's got a good angle with the wall hacks to start picking away at this tank. He's isolated for Horfik to go and pick off. Overtime, he's bopping up and down like an equalizer as Frost is going to lead the charge. Horfik runs in as well. Overtime's going to tick down, and that's a Disband fall short of that second point.
We can definitely say that's Disband have fallen here. The momentum seems to come to a grinding halt now as 1Point holds them at 1Point here. But then again, this is definitely one of those maps where you can hold as well as, I mean, the vendor's advantage is not as strong on the Streets phase after it was patched out in a earlier patch, but they still have a long ways to go.
I don't think we saw a single Diva self-destruct from Barbie that didn't get at least one kill that game. He was very accurate with his placement on that one, and he was just messing 1Point around. They were unable to actually do anything when Barbie managed to get those self-destruct kills. But on the flip side of that, that's a Disband. Weren't really capitalizing as much as they should have done with that extra two-man advantage they should acquire for themselves with something that's as throwaway as a self-destruct.
Yeah, it seems like the target prioritization is just coming to an all-time low for that Disband at the moment. Usually we'll see Maus get in there and get in there hard with Barbecue and Colsty with that coordinated dive, take out some of the specific and key targets. It seemed to me that Scalar just had so much uptime on that Transcendence though, that they just weren't able to push through it. So we'll play from this guy. He's keeping his team alive a lot of the time. I mean, we'll just hopefully see if they can put another shrimp on the Barbie here and maybe take out 1Point in this next fight.
You beat me to that pun. I wanted to save that one for later. I knew it was coming, though. I had to get it in. But, oh well, kudos to you. You managed to find a way to weave it in already. But yeah, Barbie, he's been dominating with the Diva. Can he do the same on this Brigitte, looking to hold out in a similar way? Bringing out the Orisa instead of having the Reinhardt the Malzaza was running. Is that a signature hero for Colsty, or is that more just what is better for this composition that they're deciding to run with here, Blank?
I mean, Colsty in the moment, like, it's something we don't talk about, but he has a very, very strong Orisa. Like, he plays the front line. It's very difficult to get him off there. When you play Orisa, you tend to want to hold down a single position, and Tri-Spear knows this. So they're going around the left-hand side here, waiting for the rest of the team to regroup, and it will be Horfik on the Roadhog, actually. Tri-Spear showed us a great Roadhog yesterday, sorry.
It's the Europe special coming out for 1Point. When in doubt, quad tank it out. So gonna take that low ground, just run themselves in. The amp it up for Fat, gonna position them. Mouse has a nice angle to capitalize when they're trying to make a beeline for that point. Takes Fat out of the sky, so they're missing a crucial component. They're gonna have to try and either hold their ground here, push on, or just try and persevere without that additional support. They're trying to buy some more time, but they're gonna commit to this anyway. Hook goes out, doesn't land anyone for the time being, and they're going to fall back and wrap around, just hide and recover, wait for that second support to come and meet them.
You don't necessarily usually play clay pigeon shooting with a frog in the air, but that's what Fnails is doing today. But this is what they want to do right now, is they want to take the high ground, but they've come back wrapped around again because Colsty put up a domineering position. But now they're both on the point, and Malzaza gets blasted back by a whip shot.
Already with those orbs of destruction, Mal's going to reposition as Zale gets a kill for himself on that Junkrat, and you can see Fat getting very aggressive with Mouse, but the damage wasn't there for him. He's going to get removed from the fight again. That's a Disband, holding very strong onto this position and not let any progress go. With 2 minutes 30 on the clock, still plenty of time for 1Point to commit and get and progress onto the escort section, but they're having a lot harder time than what that Disband had to deal with on their offense.
I'm not sure about One.PoinT giving up the tactic of taking the high ground on the right-hand side of this map, and they wasted a lot of time by doing so and waiting for that other member of the team. I think they should have regrouped and made a beeline straight to the point instead of. Mouse now has sights on the rest of this team, so they can't make a sneaky push around the right side, but it will be Zeal also with a Riptire, who can quickly take out some of these key targets unless they have opportunity to take it out the air. But Quad Tank doesn't have that huge burst damage for that 100 HP Riptire.
Well, the Riptire coming in, Zeal trying to find the angle with a duck and dive, but it goes straight into the turret to Brucen. He's going to remove that Riptire from the fight. Malzaza struggling to hold that line and protect his team as Zeal gets a cheeky concussion mine in there. Throws out a second for Malzaza as well as Tri-Spear with the Orbs of Destructions on the Zenyatta. That's a Disband pushing back strong, and they're able to keep 1Point down and out yet again.
Now that Miles is down, it's time to go back in. She has a long walk time, although 8 seconds on that grappling hook is going to get her back pretty quickly. Tri-Spear has a Transcendence Pocket. Colsey has the Supercharger. Izzy with the Valkyrie. There's so much tempo coming out. That's a Disband right now. They could hold this one. Brucen has to make this Diva Bomb huge, Drew.
Well, they switched Horfic out for that Winston, so they're going to try a different strategy just to get onto the backline, create a little bit more space for this Quad Tank to operate with, rather than relying on that Roadhog to pull them into the mixture. But it seems like that's a Disband. They've got their number. Self-destruct goes up into the air, finds Colsey. Charger for Frost, and they got no value from that. And 1Point, they're going to be rolling straight through that to Disband. They've got the capture, and they're going to keep this payload and get it to start moving.
All eyes are in the air for that Diva Bomb. Malzaza says, eyes on me, fellas, as he drops down the hammer, pulls down 4 of the team to the ground, and they're going to take this first point. 3 minutes, though, to push it all the way around this bend. It's not a huge, tall task, but there's still ultimates on the side of that's the Disband. They could still hold this one.
Oh, absolutely. With 2 minutes 50 on the clock and most of the second stage to play with in terms of what they have to defend, that's a Disband. It's more than plausible they can hold this. 1Point, they've changed up the composition. They put Horfic onto that Widowmaker, so they've got an option to take it out, and that's exactly what he does. Already paying dividends by removing the Riptire. Now the Coalescence is going to brute force this fight. For 1Point, they're all going to follow that beam. It's a laser-guided tank composition that goes straight into the fight as Malzaza picks himself up that Barbie, and Horfic wins the sniper duel with Mouse.
I mean, they're really taking the advice of Zenyatta right now. Yeah, Zenya, payload motion stays in motion. And now it's going to be Horfic just watching the gates as these team players from That's a Disband come out. He wants to find a quick kill on them, and he's pressuring Mouse already.
It's squeaky bum time for That's a Disband. They're on the brink of losing this map and going 0-2 into the halftime. 1Point. They've got everything they need to make this work. Ultimates are non-existent for both members of the team. Zeal gets a kill onto Scalar. Horfic on the D-Mech onto Barbecue. Horfic not landing the shots he needs at the moment. It means gets the flick onto Zeal, removing a crucial damage component of That's a Disband. And that's Colsey holding the line solo. They are going to pass. The resurrection comes out, and Mal's going to pay him some attention. He's only just been rezzed. He's already missing most of his health. There comes an Earth Shatter, knocks down Horfic with a Graviton Surge, going to pull the rest of That's a Disband together as Malzaza lets the hammer fly, cuts through them, and 1Point are going to go 2-0 in this series.
Having a little bit of difficulty on the first point there, they finally bring it through, and like you said, they were laser-guided missiles straight to that golden box of victory on the streets phase. It will be 1Point going 2 points up. We'll be going straight over to the desk now, so they can really break down what you guys just saw on the screen. And from me and Trid, we'll see you very shortly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is halftime here for 1Point versus That's a Disband. 1Point is up 2-0. And one thing I definitely want to point out is, Lemon, you called that control map for 1Point. We briefly touched on it at the beginning of the game. But Lemon, can you go into a little bit of detail? They won on Ilios pretty handily, 100-0 on Lighthouse, a little bit back and forth on Well. Can you break that down a little bit?
Oh God, well, I mean, Lighthouse was a bit of a struggle here for Disband, especially with the C9 at the very end. The only fight that they handily took, they stepped off, and it was 100-0 there for 1Point. Then we go into Well, and this was way more interesting in terms of character selection. You had Horthic bring out the Sombra, and this is something that I haven't seen in a while with Brigitte and everything in the meta. She seemed to have disappeared, but I feel like Zeal, I gotta shout him out for Team Disband. I think he's been playing exceptionally well as Genji, but he's a very high risk, high reward. He plays in chaos. So it's either he'll use a blade and Transcendence gets shattered and then somehow wins the fight for his team. But he's been incredibly flexible with playing Pharah, switching to Widow and Horthic, or Frost gives him trouble on the Widow, swapping back to Pharah against the Widow. So he's kind of the question mark and the key to success or failure, I think, for Disband.
Yeah, that's definitely something to look out for moving into the second half. And one thing I really loved seeing in your notes, still talking about Ilios, is you mentioned that they weren't controlling their lanes. That's a Disband. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that and how they could have done better?
And I think this was very evident, especially, I guess, on Lighthouse. I already mentioned the C9. You know, you had people still alive, especially a Lucio that could have sat there and bounced around the point. So being more aware of who's on the point. And then this was also evident on a Lighthouse when they actually did retake the point from One.PoinT, they were holding main entryway instead of trying to have their Tracer watch kitchen or in alleyway. And this was the main entry point for One.PoinT to come in, either push their D.Va, push their Tracer, and I felt like they gave a little bit too much flanking opportunity to the other team through these ways. So would have liked them to control the outer parts of the map, especially on control, and I think that's why that's one of their weaker game types.
All right, well, thanks for breaking that down, but we also need to go to Panda just real quick. Something that Orthic is known for is that deep character pool, pulling out the Sombra on well, had an amazing hack on a Genji so you couldn't wall climb back out of the well. Panda, why did that work? What adjustments weren't made to make Sombra so effective for One.PoinT?
I mean, ultimately, we saw One.PoinT running whatever they really wanted. I mean, they were running amok in the back line. We saw that's a Disband coming out on an unorthodox composition for well. I believe that was mostly for the comfort pick around all their dive-heavy heroes. We know Mouse is a very confident Tracer. We know Izzy loves to play Lucio. That heavy shot calling is definitely a whole lot easier to do when you're on Lucio and you can, to Lemon's point, hop, bounce, and skip around the point, and you get a whole bunch more information that way. But the heals aren't always there, and that's typically why you would want to bring a Mercy Zen to that situation. On the other hand, though, running a Brigitte in that situation, slowing things down and really taking your time in the backline, even bringing out a McCree if you need to, can really shut it down, though. Horthic came out with a heads-up play, though. On well, you would typically see a Pharah come out, and that's probably why Horthic wanted to bring out that the Sombra pick. I know Horthic, especially on other control points like Oasis and City Center especially, very known for shutting down Pharahs. This time around, just shutting down any cooldown is basically what you needed to do. But what they could have done better is definitely bring a Brigitte to that table.
All right, well, thanks for that Ilios breakdown. We're going to start on Blizzard World now. We're going to go to Lemon first once again. So something that I like seeing in your notes is you were noticing some interesting character swaps, and I think there are actually some good ones later on. But, tell us about the swaps. What did you like? What you didn't like?
Man, Frost on that Widow, I just have to say that was a huge part of One.PoinT success on their defense. I felt like he just was keeping the other team at bay. And Wallace, I felt like Zeal was the one, I've already mentioned his flexibility. He's the one bringing out the Junkrat against Quad Tank. He's the one bringing out the Pharah when there's usually nobody in the sky contesting him, but he brought out the Pharah against the Widow, and I just thought it had some success. He got rid of the Barrage and then went on to the Widow. And what was questionable to me is going back onto the Pharah when, even if you're not as good of a Widow, just distracting the other Widow for your team to push up would have had some value to that.
Yeah, and a pretty good counter to Pharah if you have an accurate Widow. But now going to Panda, something that I noticed about that game, it was very back and forth. It wasn't both teams playing well at the same time. It was pretty streaky, and in the end, One.PoinT was able to take it. Was it a lack of consistency from That's a Disband that ended up losing them that map, or was it One.PoinT finally putting it together and pushing through?
I think One.PoinT finally found the answers they were looking for into the defense. That's a Disband we're putting together. It was a 2-1-3 composition with a Widowmaker, Brigitte as the off tank with Colsity on that Orisa. And to the caster's point blank, definitely take a good note on that. Colsity is very comfortable on Orisa, regardless of being a solo tank with the tank and a half, I guess you could say, with Brigitte on your side there. It does work out. I mean, we got to see the Widowmaker pressuring those long sight lines, and we got to see the Moira Meatball special get shut down for a certain long amount of time because we got to see Zeal on Junkrat. bringing Junkrat to that table definitely offers a lot of shutdown to those big meaty targets of those tanks. Now, on the other hand, though, it did get shut down, as you can go back to the spawn room, you can switch to what need be. Regardless of the situation, though, I think that we saw 1Point still being one step ahead of That's a Disband thus far.
Awesome. Well, we're so close to getting into the game. The next map type is going to be Assault or 2CP. Same thing, actually. And then the last one is going to be Escort. Knowing the map pool right now, we will see all 4 games. I did say 3-1, 1Point at the beginning of the show. Let's get some opinions, hardcore opinions here. No cop-outs. Lemon, 1Point going to finish us out?
I just think if it's Hanamura, I would heavily almost favor 1Point, either 75 to 100% win rate on that. Disband, it's also their worst game type statistically. The lowest percentage are 0-3 on Hanamura, 0-1 on Anubis, 0-2 on Lunar Colony with a draw, only 1 draw on Anubis. So again, 1Point, I think they're going to take this strong.
Panda, are you in agreement?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in agreement there. I mean, 1Point, I know Fat has a fantastic Ana, and Malzauza plays Winston on second point defense here. They do some pretty crazy old tip your hat to Misfits clan kind type feeling. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 1Point here as well. It's their game variant.
All right, so 1Point across the board, and we're going to go ahead and give it to our casters, Blank and Trid, to cover Hanamura. Trid, take it away.
Thank you very much, Boop, and your merry band of analysts. We're going to jump into Hanamura, which for 1Point versus That's a Disband. Scoreline's currently 2-0 in favor of 1Point. So this victory on this map can clinch them the series and pretty much put them in a near guaranteed spot for a Contenders spot when it goes into the next season. So there we have it. Hanamura being the map for the Assault archetype coming out into this series. So let's have a look at what teams are being rolled out. So 1Point, they're playing on defense first. So they're going to have that composition on the defense to go against That's a Disband.
And talking to Merry Bands there, Trid, let's hope that they can Robin Hood this one from That's a Disband and steal the victory back from 1Point.
They're already getting themselves through that gate, going to hold themselves in that house interior and wrap around. With Horfic picking up the first kill onto Tri-Spear. They're missing one of the supports, so it's a good start coming out for 1Point as they're able to shut it down. But Kolsti going to get himself out of there, go straight onto the back line to help out and shut down Malzauza, who got himself embedded in front of Izzy on that Winston.
Yeah, Winston can get back relatively quickly, but like I said, That's a Disband. I'm not going to let them get into the point whatsoever at this point.
Already, Horfic staying off the point, but That's a Disband. That's exactly where they want to be. They got 5 members on there, and they're going to force 1Point to now aggress onto them. They're now the defenders as Barbie gets the shutdown onto Bruceson, so taking out the mirror matchup. Malzauza diving in quick as Malz removes Scalar from the fight, and Horfic, he's getting down and dirty, but Brigitte going to yeet him off the map, and Malzauza jumps off himself.
Malzauza being yoted straight off to the side. And it will be Malzauza with a Primal Rage and Horfic with Riptide. So they should be able to defend this second push coming on to second point Hanamura. But That's the Disband once again flying in 0 to 60. They're not letting up whatsoever.
6 minutes 30 on the clock. They're keeping the momentum going, trying to roll straight in. Here comes the buzzkill in the form of Tyra. Horfic taking out Kolsti and Izzy. So that's going to hopefully shut down the rest of That's a Disband. But Zeal gets a return onto Fat. With that shield bash, removing the Mercy as Malz wins the mirror matchup, and Zeal takes out Scalar. Tri-Spear gonna get the D-Mech. Malz gets another shot. That's Disband. They're cleaning up. They've got 3 members on the point, and they've got 2 pieces of the pie. Just need to get that final slice with 6 minutes 5 remaining. That's a Disband complete Hanamura.
That's a Disband, and that's a very convincing round 1 completion from this side of the team. 1Point, they're going to be feeling a little bit bad about that one. Mind games are definitely from full effect. 6 minutes so far. That's a lot of pressure on 1Point to take this quickly.
We can already see them getting ready for that next round. Just going to try and, we're aware there's a bit of an audio-video desync on the stream. The casters are just going to try and sort this out to make sure that we can sync up your audio and viewing experience. That's Disband now going to be on the defense. We see what they're going to roll out for the defensive move, and it's looking very similar to what we saw from 1Point.
Yeah, so 1Point, they took this quite quickly. in the sense that the defense wasn't great, and that's a disband. They're going to go for something very similar with Mouse on the Widowmaker and Zeal on the Junkrat. And this kind of combo, we've seen it so far in a lot of the other games we've casted and observed over the weekend, is that having Junkrat and Widow means there's so much pressure across the board for this team to contend with. So not only do you have to deal with the Widow or points being able to pop you in the head and take you out of the game, you also have to worry about Zeal, and not only worry about getting hit by the grenades, you need to worry about not getting hit by too many of them. You don't want him to build up that Riptide too quickly, because that can quickly end a push.
Now 1Point getting ready for their offensive move. See what they're going to come out of the spawn gates. Not get debated by any of these unusual picks, but I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see Malzaza on that Winston. It's one of his signature heroes, and he's been performing quite well on it, despite the very fast take from that to Disband. So looking at where everyone's holding position, Zeal off to the left, supports onto the high ground, and Colsty, he's going to be sitting at the front to be that guardian of the gate, and hopefully not let 1Point get themselves even further into the area and look to capture the objective.
Heimdall not letting anyone in at the moment. Malzaza, our newly crowned king here. It will be staying in the front lines. Don't want to let anyone get in too quickly. And Frost will be immediately heading towards the back lines with his friend Brucen and Malzaza with the leap. They take the top side. I like this push round. This is a nice wraparound from these guys. Now they can hold this.
And Horfic is getting himself on to the point to try and stall out and hopefully get some progress going, because there's only a solo Tracer to hold on the point. That's the Disband, not wanting to overcommit. Horfic going for a sneaky flank around the backside. No one's paying attention to it, but now you've got a Junkrat in his face with the concussive mines. He's going in close, gets the deflect kill onto Zeal. And now he's going to get himself a tasty little health pack to return to the fight. Meanwhile, 1Point are cleaning up the rest of his comrades. Izzy gets a resurrection onto Zeal to bring back more of the action and more of the players onto the field. Barbie going low, getting D-Mech. He's exposed to the kill. Horfic on this Genji could finish it off, but here comes a very angry Colsty to shut him down and keep him out of that objective.
I mean, he is fully made out of metal tread. It can't be too fun being electrocuted whatsoever. But now Tri-Spear, he's on 90% towards that Transcendence. So no matter what 1Point do, they've got to make it quick and they've got to make it clean. Otherwise, that Transcendence is going to come out and put a huge stopper in tracks for 1Point. As the Disband been playing extremely well so far, not letting anything happen at Seal. Taking out Frost there, but nice sneaky concussion.
And he's going to be able to blow him off of the map, and the rest of that's Disband. Just going to hold the position. The Ernst is on 1Point to break through here, and they're already massively behind the time bank that was accrued for that Disband, so it's looking very good for this team to start to equalize.
Now it will be Horfic looking to use this Blaze extremely well. And we've seen in the Overwatch League before, some of these teams are very happy to use Blade and force out the Transcendence. Frost, what are you doing?
Well, he's going around the backside. He's trying to get on to... Well, he's going to kill himself off the side of the map. Mal's taking out Brucen. And Horfic going to cut through Zeal. Now he whips out the Dragon Blade. Mal's going to be feeling that Nippon steel as he looks for another target straight through Izzy as well. So that duo going to be removed. 1Point on the objective, but that's a Disband. They're still putting bodies on the point. The Transcendence keeping everyone healthy. And now finally, Colsty going to go down. Horfic into the face of Barbie. Mini Diva, last person standing. 6 players on the point for 1Point. They're going to get the progress going. With 1 minute 20, they'll probably have about 1 minute 10 to play with, unless that's a Disband can somehow muster a strong counterattack.
Yeah, so these guys are going forward now. I am a little bit ahead of your trade. I'm using that British time magic to speed on upwards. I mean, we do live in the land of Doctor Who, right? But now it will be that's a Disband instead holding this on off. 4 minutes 48 on my screen at least, and only Brucen with an ultimate to contend with against the 3 on that's a Disband.
Well, Izzy and Zeal, they're on the high ground, top right at the moment, spamming those grenades through the choke. They get 1 point to hopefully commit to going through there, although they're going to take a low ground position, which isn't very advantageous for them. Malzaza going to change it up by hitting the high ground fast. Barbecue's going to punish him for what appears to be a mistake, as Colsty taking out Horfic with the lightning gun. And Frost can't quite get set up to take out a fight. Going to walk into the trap of Zeal and feel that bear trap, cinch his leg, and he's going to bleed out and die. But Brucen in full retreat, because he knows the rest of his team isn't going to be able to compete on this push.
Well, exsanguination, that's always pretty macabre, Mr. Trid over there. But I like the word clinch, that's a good one. But now it will be Horfik on the top side with the Blade. Blade versus Tyre, who wins?
Blade versus Tyre, well, if in some reality where the Blade will ultimately go in and slice through that Tyre before it manages to detonate, then yeah, the Blade will win. But most of the time, it's going to be the Tyre. He's taking a detour, going up behind him, looking for some targets, just going to take out Horfik instead. So they're missing that Genji from the field, and the Blade's going to go down with him, taking cover at the moment. Self-destruct bought some more time back. Going to bring Horfik back into the fight. Malzaza so close to getting that primal rage. He's gonna have to pop it. A lot of pressure coming in from that to Disband. Diving straight onto the spawn point. That's a Discord or Tri-Spear. He's gonna go down. Field of Fists of Fury. And it's gonna get taken back to the spawn point. Not that far to travel though, because we're on that second point. Whips out the Dragon Blade. Horfik removes Barbie. Now he's just standing at the gate. The range on that Dragon Blade is unreal as he cuts Zeal down in the spawn room. Is he gonna resurrect to get him back onto the point? So close to securing with 3 minutes 10 left on the clock. That's a Disband. They're drip feeding out of the spawn room. 1Point have control of this map, and they're just gonna keep cutting through anyone who comes at them, and they finally get the capture. There's a 3-minute difference, but we're gonna do Hanamura all over again.
Damn, Horfik, he got picked back up again, and that res was extremely crucial. We saw Horfik pretty much slice through the enemy team over and over again. Those dash resets coming in extra handy. And who would have thought it? I mean, it looks like Horfik's blade maybe about a meter longer than everybody else's as he cuts down Barbecue as he sits in spawn, which is it's not great for him. And that kind of led to them not being able to get the rest of these spawns out. Although defender's advantage is very strong on point B, Hanamura, in this case, they just weren't able to clean this one out.
Zeal now going to run out. That's Disband on the defense yet again. They have the time bank advantage, so it is all on 1Point to hit that offense hard and fast. Look at what they're running. They're happy with the composition they had. They may have conceded a full capture, but they definitely did it. They definitely held on a lot longer than what 1Point could. They're going to do it all over again. And 1Point, the onus is on them for adaptation.
20 seconds now remaining until this fight begins, and it will be that's the Disband taking up a very similar approach that they did last time on defense. 1Point getting Horfik back on that Genji. Knew he was the key to success in getting in quickly. Malzaza and Horfik with that huge cleave damage is allowing them to build ultimates like crazy at the moment. And with Scalar and Fat at their backs, nothing is not possible in this case.
Well, Scalar and Fat with the Transcendence available for them. They got Zenyatta and Mercy there to back them up. Gonna step on that trap early, give some early ult charge over to Zeal, but nothing more. Frost sneaks through the gate, and we're on board with him at the moment. He's gonna try and sneak even further in, but he's been spotted out by Barbie. He's gonna have to retreat. 64 HP, gonna get burst down quite quickly, and Malzaza leading the charge on the point. Just tippy tapping on there, nothing to commit to just yet. And now they're gonna keep on playing around the fringes. No one's felt the burn of going back to the spawn room just yet. No one's ready to commit to a fight. 19 HP, nearly got popped out of there by Scalar, but it's going to be Kolsty who gets the final kill. Horfik throwing the Shurigans. Gonna try and remove some more members from the fight as Barbecue takes out Malzaza, and Horfik and the rest of 1Point. Gonna fall back. He's getting a lot of attention given to him. They don't want to concede members here. They want to regroup as quickly as possible and hit another coordinated attack.
Yeah, and only 2 minutes on the clock. You only get 30 seconds after taking point A, so they should do this quickly if they want a chance of holding this. Miles now has imprecise, so he knows exactly where 1Point will be coming from. And that'll give this tank line a little bit more room to work with.
Well, now Horfik can dash through the gate. A lot of commitment to try and take out the Widowmaker, but Mouse still alive. Removes Scalar from the fight, so no more Zenyatta. Damage boost or heals. Resurrection, gonna bring him back nice and safe. The rest of 1Point, they wrapped around each other and did that as a team effort to make sure that Resurrection could come out safely. Horfik's got a Dragon Blade. Scalar's got the Transcendence. Tri-Spear's got one of his own. If they can remove Zenyatta from the fight, this could be a window for Horfik to run riot with his blade. Gonna try and get it. There you go. Tri-Spear's down. Pop the Dragon Blade when you can. Go straight into Zeal, but he's gone high already with the concussive mind, taking a lot of damage. No kills to be found. Valkyrie cannot heal through it. Horfik cuts down Junkrat. Self-destruct goes into the back. Mini Thief is exposed after throwing out her self-destruct. 1Point have position on the point. No one's really looking at them as they back themselves onto the point and onto their own death. Brewson's going to secure the final kills, and with 50 seconds on the clock, they're now going to get a nice 30-second bump to try and take point B.
I've said this before, Trit, and I'll say it again. Bruceson needs to get a heavy Diva Bomb here, and all the other times I said it, he has delivered. Will he deliver again? That is a question. Tri-Spear managed to hold onto that Transcendence, though, so that's going to sustain him on the point for a little bit longer. Zeal with the Riptide also. We'll have to see where 1Point go. Frost on the low ground, crouching around like a special operative down there, secret agent. Frost, but Horfik takes down Miles Wells, and this is the go sign. All lights are green.
Frost is already in that point. Zeal sending the tire high to take Malzaza out of the sky. And Frost, eyes on the spawn point, but he's going to fall back to get some healing from his support as there's an equalizer kill. He's going to shut down any man advantage they had. 30 seconds. They've got to get this right, so they're not going to take any chances. Wait for that 6-man roster and hit the point hard.
1Point. Fat and Bruce, and the only ultimates on the clock, it will be Frost with a pulse bomb, so that pulse bomb has to be huge. Tri-Spear still got that Transcendence in the pocket. It's got to be rotten by now, but he's going to be using it soon, and hopefully it will be sweet instead.
Zeal's cut through Horfik, so they're missing that crucial element. They're going to have to try and get someone on the point and potentially try a staggered push, but Scalar's going to go down as well. Fat can only resurrect one of them. Frost returns to kill onto Tri-Spear, and now we can see Colsey diving onto the point. He's got Barbecue right behind him to try and keep this off. 1Point needs to be kept away from this objective as Bruce's running around with his guns. Malzaza gets the D-Mech. Horfik taking him out. There's the Dragon Blade. Gets the kill into the exposed Mini Diva. We're in overtime as the Transcendence is keeping everyone up while overtime's trying to tick down. Horfik dancing around the Lightens, trying to get away from that lightning. A Scalar on the Soldier, going to cut him down. 1Point struggling so desperately to get onto the point. They're getting progress done. 2 people on the point. The self-destruct couldn't deter them. And long enough, though, as the return comes out from that to Disband. 5 members of 1Point. 1 member of that's to Disband. There's the Blade. Immediately going to dash away, but Barbie removes Horfik from the fight. No more kills to be seen just yet. It's going to be drip-fed out from that to Disband on this defense. 1Point, they're in a good position to try and take it. They just need to get a couple more kills and fight against this spawn advantage that exists for them.
Now, pumping up. Will they take this when they get 4? With the little time they had remaining, will they take this one to the second round? And it will be that's a Disband in a slightly worse position because they need to get 2 points. But they took it in 2 minutes last time, Trade, to see if they can do it again. But that was all down to Bruce and holding on to the Diva Mech. And a lot of times, right, we'll see these Diva Mechs used rather less as a self-destruct to get kills, but rather to bring you up to 1,200 HP. And if you can stay alive whilst you're exposed as Baby Diva, that means so much more sustain on the point for them. That's the Disband so far. Just couldn't contend with the extended damage on the point. And Malzasa's constant call-outs and great shot calling from this guy are able to let the DPS sustain also. I believe he probably knew that Zeal had Dragon Blade beforehand and told the rest of his team, right, I'm going to put Primal Rage and I'm going to keep Zeal off of all of you, as we saw him pounding him away into the side of Hanamura.
Well, this is it for that to Disband. They've now got to make the offensive rush. They've got 6 minutes to play with. So 1Point really have to pull out a valiant defense here to make sure that we aren't going to have a even further or one more attempt, shall we say, at Hanamura after this. 6 minute 5 on the clock. 1Point don't seem to be changing up their composition at all. That's a Disband. They're going tank heavy to try and rush this one in.
Now, we're going to be looking at this team's coming again. That's the Disband. Want to take this first one quickly. And like you're saying, they've been running that quad tank again. Very, very meaty there. Tri-Spear on the Moira. So this is actually a free comp with the Brigitte. But they need to hold this one out. They want Zeal to get up that rally very quickly. Immediately they go into the high ground. But this is where Horfik will shine in these enclosed spaces where you can throw the grenades.
1Point know exactly what they're trying to do. Bruceson gets a kill onto Tri-Spear, so they're removing one of the healing components. Trap goes down. No one seems to have stepped on it just yet, but the Riptide's already up from the Australian. Will he have to use it? But that's Disband. They're jumping off the point. They know this push is done.
Yeah, they've got to come back now. Bruceson takes down Tri-Spear, but now the rest of this team, they're going to back up. 1Point now in a slightly better position as they rebuffed the first attack. Last time it went quite quickly over to that Disband, so they got to feel a little bit better about themselves for that. And Horfik also has the Riptide. I said it before, Trade, but this can be used extremely well to just take out some of the key targets. In this case, what he'll probably be looking for is Zeal, as he knows he'll be on his way to getting a rally, and rally can sustain you for so long on the point.
Horfik getting a double kill there, triple kill, and he's going to get the D-Mech as well, as Bruceson going to remove Zeal from the fight afterwards. That's a huge shutdown for 1Point as they take that to Disband out of the fight.
Horfik Huge went down, took down both the mech and barbecue at the same time with the Riptide. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll go with it anyway. Tri-Spear with Moira on the Coalescent also. The rest of the team are moving up towards their ultimates as well, so that's a disband. Kind of just been holding off for the time being. At one point, they're definitely not short of them either.
Just going to keep the spam going on the choke, make sure that they can't get through without any pressure being applied to them. But Mouse answers with a kill onto Frost. That's going to give him the infra sight to see where 1Point are trying to hide. The resurrection comes out. The bubble shield was there to protect it. The rally is there for Zeal. Trying to pull him back up. Where are the kills coming out? Zeal taking out Frost. Orphic on the side, peppering them through, but the shields are blocking out those shots, keeping that to disband. Healthy back, getting the battle mercy kill onto Mouse, so getting a little bit aggressive. Tired of being headshot himself. Riptide coming out for Morphic, going around the side, up and above them, dropping down below, gonna go straight into the sound barrier, but takes out Colsty. The aggression still going, hasn't paid for it with his life just yet. Going very low, but unfortunately, Morphic can't get himself back onto the map. There's only so much healing that Fat can do. He's about to falter as that's the disband overrun the rest of 1Point, and they start the progress going. Frost gonna have to back up the rest of his team, but they're so far away to get those reinforcements in. The D-Mechs come out. Frost, he's looking solo. Swinging a hanger should do it as Tri-Spear takes him out on that Moira, and that's a disband. They're gonna have 3 minutes 30 to play with to take the second point.
Previous buddies, definitely not a bad time. It's around at the same time that the guys from 1Point had. I think they had about 2 minutes. So if they can hold this one out, they have the 4 points. They could drag this into a final round potentially.
Well, that's what we're hoping for. Trying to get themselves and continue their journey and get a map in this series. If they lose this map, they're going to lose the series, and they're only playing for the minutia and the very rare occasion that their map difference will make a difference in their trials to try and get into Contenders. The fight is happening on the point. Barbecue opens it up by removing Frost. Pulse bomb straight onto Zenyatta. There's nothing Scalar could do about that as Mercy takes the disguise to get away from Mouse. Doesn't want to be anywhere near that Tracer, still being whittled down. Just gonna have someone left, but Horthic, he's gonna be on that Tracer now, and he's gonna take out Mouse and show him who's the best Tracer in this match. He's still being by himself. The reinforcements are coming out for 1Point, but with 2 minutes 30 on the clock for that to disband, they should be able to take this one quite handily and force out another offensive attempt for them. Just need to get Bruce on the point to stall out a little bit longer. He's there, but he's going to get D-Mech so fast. The entirety of that to disband is there. They got 2 minutes 16 to take point A, or a fraction of it, when they go on to the next round of Hanamura.
So now they only have to take a third of the first point, and these guys, they've definitely not had trouble doing it so far. They made it work this first time. Just wait for all the ultimates to come back up again, and they have enough time to do a similar kind of thing. I mean, 2 minutes 16, right? That's a decent amount of time to build up some heavy ultimates like Earth Shadows, Gravitons coming on to this point.
There we see they're getting ready for this one. It's all for 1Point to defend. They're only going to get that opportunity on this next attempt of Hanamura. 2 minutes 16 to hold point A is plausible, but even a draw will end the series for that to disband. They'll still play the final map, but they cannot get a win if they draw this map in particular. So 1Point, really the cards are in their favor. If they just full hold this map, they win the series. If they lose, there's still a chance they could lose the series on a 5th map. So everything's on the line for them.
Now that's a disband. They only have to take 1 point from 1Point. Thank you, production team. Appreciate it. Tri-Spear.
Why did you cave? Why did you cave?
I
saw it, but I wasn't going to take that low-hanging fruit. I'm not their puppet. I don't have to do what they say. But Blank, where's your free will, man?
I don't believe in free will. I don't believe it. Well, Zeal,
oh, wow.
now
So even the alternative then. Okay.
No,
that's disband gonna go aggressive straight through the gate already and go straight into the conflict of 1Point, running that tankier composition, running the Brigitte with the 3-3, and they're forcing out the high ground. Someone was on the point to begin with, getting some progress. The kill feed, it's looking red at the moment. That's a disband in a very good position to take this map away from 1Point and keep their series alive. Just need to get that Diva D-Mech, take out the Tasty inside. Here we go, the clock's ticking. Where are the reinforcements from 1Point? They're not there. That's a disband. Gonna take this series 2-1.
These guys, they got to be happy with themselves now, right? They're doing good. They're doing good. Now we'll see the play the game coming out from Barbecue. This man's been playing extremely well so far. His actual focus has been insane. Like, he always goes on spots at the right times, and it's always Scaler getting caught out by him.
Yeah, Scaler. It's the life of a Zenyatta, unfortunately, and it doesn't matter if you hide in the bush. This isn't Fortnite. You can't get away with that. He's just going to get taken down himself.
So we're going to quickly throw to the desk whilst we sort out some teething issues once again. Our audio is maybe a little bit out of sync for you guys at home, but hopefully we can get that sorted out for the next game.
Hello, everyone. I got the mute bug. It was the first time in my career in Broadcast.gg, so sorry, it is contagious. Everyone else just remember. But anyway, I wanted to bring this back to the desk because the casters are fixing their TARDIS. I said that joke on mute. It was way funnier the first time. But
we
there is a lot to talk about on Hanamura and Lemon. You wanted to point something out about Hanamura as a win for That's a Disband because it's their first time winning in Trials, correct?
Yeah, Disband were 0-3 on Hanamura, whilst One.PoinT have never lost Hanamura. So before we actually threw to Hanamura, or Assault in general, we all confirmed that One.PoinT was heavily favored. It was their best game type and Disband's worst game type. And I don't know if we can even cover everything in 2 minutes, but you gotta drop the stats, you know?
It's a mad, mad world out there. What you expect doesn't happen, and sometimes, sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. So, Panda, a lot of points there. It was a 5-4 victory for That's a Disband. A lot to break down, but going from kind of top level down, what was the overarching theme for That's a Disband that they changed from their last 2 maps that provided them the win?
Well, it was more or less like the adaptation from a couple different points, right? They were still struggling on Hanamura versus the dive coming out from Malzauza itself. And then they put Zeal on Brigitte, and then something just clicked, right? Shutting down that dive continuously over and over and over again. And I don't know if you all know this at home. I don't even know if you guys know this sitting here with me on the desk right now, but Brigitte shuts down dive. I don't know.
What?
Have you read into this? If you studied this, have you looked into this?
How did you figure that out?
I know, right? But Brigitte does shut down dive.
Professor?
Right? In Malzauza, I am Professor Panda at your finest. And the thing about Malzauza is a very aggressive Winston, and when it's continuously diving Tri-Spear, there's a nice little shield bash right there. It leaves Mal's open to take the Widow battle onto Frost, and whether or not Frost gets resurrected or not, that's still an entryway into the tank line, so that way you can pressure them. You know the Mercy's heals aren't there, so that way you can open up the point that much further. It's just wonderful Overwatch being played at its finest. The adaptations that are coming out from That's a Disband, I hope that we get to see it coming out in this next map as well. Just to continuously pressure Malzauza off of that Winston and to see what Point can do next.
Yep, so we are going to Assault next, and we're going to go right to Panda one more time, with Assault being the map type and some adjustments obviously going down for That's a Disband. Are they looking better, or was it a sense of, on Hanamura, was it One.PoinT not being able to hold that defense? They set themselves up for a victory, 3 minutes left for That's a Disband to get that last point to go into that 5th point. So was it more One.PoinT ceding a little bit of room, or That's a Disband overcoming some of their deficits? And going into this next map, is That's a Disband looking good, or is One.PoinT just didn't look as good on Hanamura?
I think that One.PoinT got a little head scratchy there, right? They didn't even get to set up their Ana defense that they love on Point B defense. But as we're walking into Escort here, I think this will continue to favor That's a Disband as well, especially I believe that it's going to be Route 66. I don't want to put a definite pin on that one, but they looked fantastic on that map yesterday, in fact. So going forward off of that, especially if they can play to their strengths and flex around with Seal on Brigitte, let Malz take the 1v1 duels, and even if you need to stick Steel on that Junkrat, we've seen really pop off today, especially Boop. I expect good things to come out, especially when there is another objective in tow called a payload.
Awesome. Well, we are not going to Route 66. We are going to Junkertown. And so, Lemon, just one thing, Junkertown. Who is going to take this one?
Oh, it's so hard to say. I think it's going to come down to the snipers, and Moz has been really popping off as whether the Tracer or the Widow, but who is there going to be a second sniper? Now that Frost is now bringing out the Widow, this has been something that we saw him do so well on Blizzard World, so it's going to come down to the wire.
Awesome. So The Wire, by the way, greatest show ever made for television. Check it out. But anyway, we're going to go to the casters, Blank and Trid. I think their TARDIS is fixed. They're all synced up. They're going to bring you the map from down under that Junkertown. Lots of shrimp on the Barbie, please.
How many references are you going to fit into just one outro there? You had TARDIS, you're hitting the British. You had Australian, shrimp on the Barbie, and the Down Under as well. So I guess you're just throwing a mishmash in there, but we'll keep it on the cast for now. That's a Disband 1 point. That's a Disband's last chance to tie this series out and force out the 5th map. I'm Trid, this is Blank.
Just chuck all the references on the barbecue, my dude. So now we're going to this next point. Junkertown, this is where the upset really came for That's a Disband versus Bazooka Puppies, our favorites at the moment, who were 10-2 at the time before they lost out to That's a Disband. So see how 1 point can contend with them now that their momentum is lost a little bit on Hanamura. So now it's 2-1. Can 1 point take this one back? They are running snipers. This is 1.22 Hanzo, so you won't be seeing any of those quick storm arrows coming out, and so we'll be mostly seeing Mouse and Frost running the Widows.
And now we see Horfig just flanking around on the side, getting an alternative angle, trying to break through that Arista shield. The payload keeps going into motion. Frost's got a good angle, but he's wasted it by missing that shot onto his opposite man of Mouse. Now it's kept in the track, but there you go, he made up for it. Finally taking the head off of Mouse. Off to the side still. Needs a response. That's a Disband. They've got the resurrection out, but they just keep being pushed back further and further. They're not able to entrench themselves in any ground. And here's the Blade right onto the back line. So many weak targets for them. And Horfig, he's found 2 kills. And the rest of his team are going to roll over them. 1 point. Unstoppable on this payload.
Yeah, I mean, we said they got entrenched, right? But that's the time for Horfig to go. I think it was 80% on his ultimate. 1 dash brought him all the way up to Dragon Blade. Popped that one out. And because he'd already taken so much damage from Colsty with the Tesla Cannon and Barbecue, from Malzassa and Bruson, they just went down so quickly in that fight.
And they're going to have to try and mix it up on the side of That's a Disband, because that's a very fast take for 1 point. What they can do in the second phase of this map, hopefully lock down the momentum and be a little bit of a killjoy as Horfig goes to the brink of life and just comes back to that healing for the rest of his team. Mal's taking out Frost. Switched over to that Tracer as Barbie can take Hanzaza out of the sky. That's a Disband. Trying to return, and 1 point. They come back swinging as well. Horfig going low. He's having a little bit of attention from the opposite Genji, who's Zeal taking control of into that matchup, and they've killed the momentum successfully, but that's a Disband to try and entrench themselves some form of defense.
We see the takeaway on the board, but we'll see if 1 point can take away this Streets phase from That's a Disband. In goes the Deep Bomb, finds Zeal. Now it's time for the aggression to come out from 1 point. Horfig looking for the backlines.
Unfortunately, can't find it. Going to be shut down adequately by Colsty. So that's a Disband doing much better in the second phase of this map. A lot of progress made by 1 point to push it close to the final segment, but they're still holding strong, and they've got a very forward defense. They've got a lot of room to play with here.
And this is exactly where That's a Disband held back Bazooka Puppies. We'll see if they can do it again. At 1 point are slightly around the bend more than Bazooka Puppies were yesterday, but now quickly, Miles has to be careful of that deflate because it would seem that Horfig is on point at the moment. Quick headshot onto Bruce, and he's forced down.
Beautiful headshot onto Frost there. Just going to shut him down even further, but the resurrection's going to come out from Fat, bring him back into the fray. Only going to cost him a cooldown, unfortunately. Horfig taking out Colsty, Mouse, a lot of pressure. Going to use the Infrasights. Give himself a slight competitive edge. Transcendence, keeping everyone alive. They've not been traded, I don't believe, but they're able to get someone who's behind them. I believe that's Barbie who sat behind him currently. He's going to fly back up onto the roof. Primal Rage being popped by Malzaza. Going to jump straight into the fight. Giving too much attention because he's solo. Has to fall back to the health pack. Not so much on the duration left. Goes straight in to dislodge Mouse from that position and buy some space Resurrection coming out. Lightning riding through. It's there fast enough to get the kill. Barbecue with the self-destruct. Clears out fat as Horfik tries with a blade of his own to secure the kill onto Izzy. Now they're on the point. Malzaza, that bubble with the lightning trying to remove Barbie. He's still being set there with the Orb of Harmony, but now that he's been taken out by Brucein, I don't know that Barbie can stay on this point anymore. He's been taken out of his mech, and 1Point, they're going on to the final phase of this map.
And quickly, we see the side of Colsey popping that Primal Rage. Not the best of ideas at a point where you are going to be losing this one now. There was not really any point for the stall because the rest of his team were a long, long way away. And he just fed 1,000 HP of ult charge over the side of 1Point. Now you see Brucein with the Diva Bomb. Frost with the Pulse Bomb. So many Pulse Bombs and bombs in this case. They're ready to come into an explosive third point push.
Well, it is Junkertown, the home of... It is Junkertown, the home of Junk Rats. You'd expect it to be quite explosive in nature, and the hero picks are definitely hiding on that. Colsey on the high ground with the rest of That's a Disband. Haven't had the best of defenses. Their strongest showing was towards the end of the second phase, and now they're on potentially the last stretch of this map. Dragonblade coming out already, a self-destruct in the air to shut it down, but he cuts through Zeal, irregardless of the fact. Mal's gonna answer with the headshot after getting the D-mech onto Barbie, but luckily Frost is there with the support to clean up the mini Diva.
Miles now having to back even further out as Miles as it goes in hard, and Scalar has a Transcendence in preparation for Zeal's Dragonblade as it just comes online now. Miles working his way up towards that Infrasight Hazard now. This is very good when there's little LOSs on this last point on Junkertown, but they are just skirmishing at the moment, getting a feel for each other's team before they put everything into the pot.
There's the sound barrier, a lot of attention being paid on to Mal's. Transcendence comes out, Horfik cuts through Zeal. Resurrection in the middle of the battlefield. It's a risky move, will it pay off? I don't see anything on the kill feed, so I don't think it has. The Horfik gonna be knocked around, he's got an angry 8 in his face. Just going to whittle down with the Shuriken. Mal's coming out on the Brigade to shut down Frost, but already he gives him a parting gift in the form of a Pulse Bomb to take him out. And Horfik and the rest of 1Point, they're so close to victory on Junkertown right now. Just need to fight against the flow of that to Disband out of their spawn room. As long as they can time it correctly, they should be able to get away with it. Barbecue, he's the only one on that point, and now the reinforcements are coming in. They get the kill. They're starting to turn the tides against 1Point, but Horfik, he wants to keep it in their favor by taking out Izzy, removing one of the healers. You're being pushed back. Solid hold. Here's a Dragonblade. This could be huge. He's immediately stunned by the Brigade and shut down by Mouse. They're not going to get anything for his effort. At 1Point, have to fall back. That's a Disband. Put on a valiant defense.
That defense came down to Izzy and the impeccable plays coming out from there. The Guardian Angel can be used so well to get out of sticky situations like that and played around that spawn room. It's just the rest of the team, the target prioritization was there from 1Point going for the Mercy. Didn't want to get any of the res or any of the extra healing out. And it just took so long to take her down. And once it was finally Horfik finding the kill, they just had nowhere to go. Now they switch over to Quad Tank to try and finish this one out.
When in doubt, Quad Tank it out. They're going in for one last ride. Bruce's got the self-destruct and he wants to put it into the fight. 1Point. They're playing in the face of That's a Disband. It goes up, it comes down, and Izzy's the only victim. Here comes another one, but it's from the side of That's a Disband. No kills to be found. So they're in a man advantage for 1Point, but the spawn advantage still remains in favor of That's a Disband. Sound barrier being answered with a Transcendence. Colsey having a fight, but he's getting stunned up before he can land that haymaker. Now he's being bopped around in the back line, just trying to cause disruption without the Primal Rage. He's relying solely on the armor. It's coming out from Horfik. Now Mal's getting close to his own, but he's going to fall short just before he can get it off. So they've got that rally. They just need to get him back on the field. 1Point, they're cleaning up nicely. Zeal's in the back corner, playing the Bastion now. And they're getting in his face to shut him down early. The Graviton Surge being used solely for him to keep him out of the fight. They got 6 members on the point. No one's there to keep it going. That's a Disband. I'm going to fall short. And 1Point, complete Junkertown.
And despite the side of That's a Disband smashing Horfik into the corner, that Inspire passive coming out from Brigida, 6 per second at 20-meter radius, relatively kept the rest of his team very, very much alive. It's just so tough to burn through that, especially when one punch from the Primal Rage only does 40 damage. It just takes a little bit of time for Horfik just to get out of there, reposition himself, and then he's healing everyone. With the rest of the healing coming out from Scalar, or Fat, I believe, on the Lucio, it was just so difficult to chew through the team of 1Point. And with 22 seconds on the clock, it's not great, but they've done better than Bazooka Puppies. We'll have to see how That's a Disband deal with them now.
Nice to get a tour of the gold room. This is where you go if you make a incorrect play in this matchup. It's very symbolic of your standing as a player if you're making mistakes at this level. So 1Point, they now have to play the defensive game. That's a disband. They know the distance they have to match, and they got 4 minutes just to hit that first phase, and then they'll have an increase every time they hit one of those checkpoints. But they have that distance. And 1Point, with that 22-second bank, they know they're going to have some extra to play with, regardless of what that's a disband can do. So they're going to get it set up on their defense. Let's have a look at what they're running to put on their last stand. Of course, going to be Horfik playing the Genji, and they got Frost on that Widowmaker. And Malzaza, he's taking a turn at that Orisa.
And that's the disband. They're switching up, and it looks like they may be just playing the pirate ship comp with Zeal on the Bastion as he comes through in the top round. This is going to be a little bit more difficult to deal with. Bruceon is on the D.Va, so although the D.Va Matrix will be able to cut through that massive damage coming out of the Bastion, but it looks like Zeal will be switching up, so there's no need for that anymore. And Tri-Spear will be on that classic Roadhog that we saw yesterday, which was so strong. Let's see if he can make those amazing hooks. But immediately, Colsey goes down to Malzaza.
Yeah, Malzaza gonna be taking out an opposite man. Izzy gonna use the shield coming out. It was still left there to bring him back into the fray, and now the payload is in motion. Tries to be on that Roadhog, gonna complete that ball and chain combination for that disband, and hopefully get themselves some picks to get them over that finish line. Already Mouse taking the high ground. Saw Frost do this to him last round, and now he's got someone in his face though. That's the difference maker. A Genji running at him from the defensive line. Zeal on that Hanzo. He's going to be a sniper of his own. This isn't the current patch Hanzo, so we're not going to see any horizontal leaps or storm arrows. He can still do some damage in the right context. Going to fire out the scatter. Rest in peace, you beautiful ability.
Mouse does find Frost in the background though, so it'll be Frost resting in peace also. But immediately onto Fat. They were not watching this flank, and Tri-Spear is going to take Malzaza in the front line. Scalar on Zeal now.
Payload still in motion. That's a disband. They're doing it in an impressive time, almost at 1Point's pace. So it's looking good for them to complete this map. They just need to see how they handle the change up into the different phases that Junkertown offers to these players.
I really like this play as well from the guys on That's a Disband. They play a huge frontal pressure on the payload with Tri-Spear and Colster with all the healing they could need. And then Barbecue and Zeal were playing as the special operatives on the side as the flankers. It was very difficult to deal with all the pressure coming out from 1Point, but now they switch up the comp. It will be Zeal going over the Brigida to try and pull this one out. Horfik is now on the Genji, but no ultimates on the side of 1Point yet.
Frost sneaking up behind, being a secret agent. He's found Izzy, gonna force out the Guardian Angel to leap away. The safety self-destruct goes into the air. Horfik should be fine from this distance, but Scalar and Malzaza definitely aren't. Feel the burn of Barbie's self-destruct, which have been on point this entire series. As Frost comes up behind him, Horfik's been stunned up. He's got a Dragon Blade available. He's just jumping over the top. I don't think there's much he can do in this fight. So he's gonna let himself die. Going for the reset, but that's a disband. Keep the payload moving, and they're just on that final curve of the S-bend towards phase 3 of this map.
They're taking it so quickly as well. And we saw from Horfik's perspective, the special combo, the special treatment that comes out from Brigida. You just stand still and you're just stunned into absolute oblivion. Now there's a 1Point sitting on the top side ready to engage.
Gonna drop down low. Horfik hopefully evades it. Stunned already. If it's not the Brigitte, it's gonna be the McCree from Mouse. Brigitte's in his face. He's gonna get revenge. Cuts through her. And now it's looking to find that isolated Orisa. Horfik putting the team on his back and making sure they shut it down. And here's the stall onto Baby D.Va. There's no environmental kill available. They can keep this going as long as they want. Just gonna cut through her. And they put a nice stagger onto that to Disband's push.
That's about 10 seconds that these guys are going to have to wait. Because at the moment, Barbecue is playing very well as a flanker, taking the pressure off the front line at the moment. But that was tough. It was down to Horfik with the blade to bring that one back, as Malzaza almost got pulled off the payload, and they may have been able to push it in that split second. But immediately, that's a disband running back in as they switch up their comp once again.
Self-destruct coming in. A Boop was there to try and expose the rest of the team, was unable to succeed as that's a disband. Got themselves on the point. The rally comes out, trying to keep everyone's armor topped up, but they're whistling through. Mal's trying to keep that shield up. He's in the fray with the Zarya. Now cuts one down, looking for the D.Va, gets the D-Mech, and now looking to expose D.Va as that's a disband, are able to force on to the final point of this map.
2 minutes 43. We'll be moving on up to 4 minutes 10 now. Horfik switches over on to the Pharah. A good pick here, and is already on his way up to 67% versus the quad tank. The moment both these teams are very, very flexible, like two gymnasts going out against each other.
Holding that high ground position. It's always expected on Junkertown final phase. Everyone's playing as a tight unit, but Horfik on the far could look to capitalize, and he does just that onto Tri-Spear. As the barrage available for himself, but Barbie straight up in the sky, going to remove any opportunity of that happening. You see a D-Mech exposed Diva. Barbie paid for his expensive toy as he's going to get exposed. As Brucen, sorry, don't know what I'm saying there, managed to get Barbie out of the Mac and killed. And you see Frost following up with the Junkrat.
And this is the problem with playing tank lines into the spam, is that, for one, although Barbecue managed to reach Horfik, they can't really get to you. Frost can just play in the background, and you build ultimates so incredibly fast, and you can get so much value out of them. Horfik going to use Barrage in this next fight to take out a huge multitude of these members of teams.
And here comes the Justice raining from above. It's followed up off the back of an Earth Shatter. Colsty gonna take out Brucen after he charged that mech into the wall, but Horfik's being allowed to do whatever the hell he wants at the moment. The Coalescence is paying him no attention, and there's a Riptire as Colsty gonna follow up with the missed position that was enabled by the Primal Rage Winston to knock him into that tire. 1.'s defense on this final phase has been absolutely solid.
And now, finally, we do see that's the Disband switching off, but to do so, they must butcher their own ultimates. So, unfortunately, they forfeit some percentage here for a slightly better team comp against 1.0. It is definitely not a bad thing. They have 2 minutes 22 to work with. That is enough time to get around this corner. But Horfik already building him way up back to another barrage here. 80% already trid.
Because they're playing so clustered, he's able to get so much AoE damage onto multiple targets. 90%. It's almost ready for another barrage, and they don't have their umbrellas available at the moment. Still trying to find a way in. The Graviton Surge was used. Going to drop down low to get that kill. Won't have to use it just yet. There's the rally coming out from Zeal, but immediately the barrage at close range. You can't block all of the damage coming out from that. Turns around to hit the underpass, but unfortunately going to get taken out the sky by Colsty. Malz removing Malzaza, and that's a disband. Keep it on rolling as Malz with that nearly 100% charge. The Scaler actually gets a return kill and punishes the arrogance of Barbie for entering his domain. And Colsty as well. This man doesn't want any tanks up in his face.
You might think Scaler's a support, but no, he's teaching us otherwise that he is a DPS. Although the barrage may seem to get that much value, taking down Brigida mid-rally means that there is no 150 armor given to the rest of this team, which is going to make the dive a little bit more cautious as they go into 1.0 with all this huge damage coming out, especially with Frost coming up on that Riptire.
There's Valkyrie being used. Graviton Surge available for Malz if you can find the right combo. You're only going to hook a couple of members into that fight, getting more and more and more as the Frost tire drops onto Tri-Spear. Barbie going to get the D-Mech onto Brucen. A lot of exposed members for 1.0. Going to get whittled down as Izzy gets the resurrection onto Tri-Spear. Malz bunny hopping with the right clicks, and he's going to bunny hop onto the head of Brucen and remove him from the fight as well. That's a disband. They're on the home stretch with 40 seconds remaining. 1.0. They can have one more solid defense, then the rest of it is going to be drip fed and pushing for overtime.
Down comes Malzaza, comes back, and again, Colsey looking for that Primal Rage very soon. Barbecue also has the Diva Bomb ready to go. Tri-Spear on the Transcendence, want to keep this fight going as long as possible, but so many ults out from 1.0 already.
Tri-Spear using that Transcendence on the fight to keep the rest of that disband alive. A lot of emergency first aid symbols being applied around the map. It's so low. An isolated Horfik is removed by Tri-Spear. A double Riptire kill for Frost to level the playing field. And now it works a disband. They look like they have a number of men on the point. Scaler taking out Malz, and now Barbie's getting in his face. It's only a 3v2, but here come the reinforcements from the Spawn advantage. Overtime is ticking down. 1.0 needs to make every kill count. But
oh my god,
Disband who are pulling it back. Tri-Spear, Colsty, they're letting the hammers swing and the orbs fly, and they're gonna complete Junkertown and force us out another attempt.
Tri-Spear got caught in the trap there, and at the very last moment before he's taken down with the grenades, it will be Barbecue coming in hot with the Diva Matrix, him going down, and after that, he took down the remaining members of 1.0. Trid, this has been such an amazing game so far, so many close moments. We'll have to see 1.0 bring this one back versus that's a disband. All pressure is on. 1.0 just need to take this map to take this series.
We're at the bottom of the valley where these teams seemed very separate to begin with when we looked at the first two maps that one.PoinT were able to win for themselves. But as the series has gone on, the level of competition is getting closer and closer, and it's come to a head here on Junkertown. 1 minute 22 for one.PoinT. 1 minute for that to Disband. 22 seconds divides these teams in what they're going to start with for their final push. And overtime can make a big difference if they can keep their team alive.
one.PoinT opting for more damage than heal at the moment. Fat is the key member that the Disband need to take down in these upcoming fights right now. But hopefully, this huge amount of burst that they're employing will take down that Disband's Bastion comp that's coming out right now. They will hide on the top side, just on this wall, hopefully catch them out as they come through. This is essentially what you really want to do, because you don't want to let Bastion set up.
Absolutely not. And one.PoinT playing very close to that choke. No Bastion coming out for that to Disband on their offense. They're going to go through the interior, and they're moving very fast with this 3-3 composition to get behind one.PoinT. They've left the payload at the door. They're going for the kills to make sure they have an easy start. This could be a very risky strategy. They've sent one back to get the payload in motion now and hopefully hold this ground. They're going to have to fall back to the payload with the rest of their team.
Malzasa switches quickly onto the Reinhardt to get that charge back into action. But now the payload is moving. A lot of these teams are quite healthy. Mal switches back onto the Zarya we saw last match, which worked so well. Horfik running on his way up to a Riptide now, and they're all clustered up to it.
Well, Barbie, he's on the front line, charging into the back line. He's found the isolated Junkrat. The Tide comes back to save his life, and now he's exposed from the mech. It could be an easy kill, but Barbie gets the kill onto Horfik. The rest of that's a Disband looking to push forward onto the payload, but the overtime is about to come into play with 2 seconds remaining. one.PoinT are getting all the kills in their favor, and look at this, Mal's last member standing, just trying to stall it out. Here come the reinforcements, 2 extra tanks from that to Disband spawn coming in hot. And Resurrection bringing Brucean back into the fight. They're still whittling down. It's the opposite of what we see at the end of the previous round. It's the drip feed from that to Disband. The offensive team spawn, the whole hog, keeping them out of the fight. The rally is in play for Zeal to give his team a little bit of extra resistance, but they're just trying to sprint onto the point to keep the distance going. You can see Frost is unopposed on the back line because the attention's being drawn to the tasty objective. Orphic going in, getting met by a self-destruct. Can dash away, get himself some distance. Bruce's gonna feel the explosive Tri-Spear, getting a kill. He's now on that Soldier 76. A stun onto Horfik from Zeal will shut him down. That's a Disband. They've turned it around, and they're gonna just do whatever the hell they can with the overtime they've been gifted.
That's a Disband. They come in hot, they come in flaring. They do not want to lose this one. With only 2 members on the point, they fight our 4 members of one.PoinT. They are desperate for this win trade. They really want to take this one to a 5th map.
Got the potential to do so. They take a step off that cart. That's where the payload will end, and that's what one.PoinT will have to match when they go for their offensive run.
As Horfik
flies the full expecting mouths in his face. Pulse bomb went out, did find Izzy. And there's a double self-destruct from Bruce, and he's taking a page out of Barbecue's book. That's a Disband, are in disarray. The overtime's gonna end it right here, but Mouse keeps the dream alive, relights the candle. The wick is burning, the sound barrier comes out. Pour some gasoline on that fire. They want to keep it going. And Mouse needs to be removed from this fight. As reinforcements still coming in from the spawn room. The proximity is good for that to Disband to play the drip feed style. Everyone needs to dash in, but one.PoinT are the ones getting the kill. Malzaza, he's going hugely, takes out Zeal and Kolsty. Scalar removing Tri-Spear. There's the Earth Shatter. Where are the follow-up kills? D-Mech coming out for one.PoinT. Horfik, there's a hack onto Mouse. They finally shut him down. Overtime ticks down as well. So they just have to get beyond that first checkpoint to secure themselves this series. one.PoinT, they've got to do it fast and they've got to do it strong.
Mouse was the mosquito in their backs, flying around, and finally Frost clips the wings of that annoyance and takes him down. They will hold it right here. So if one.PoinT can make this with time remaining to the gate, it will be an easy victory for them. But the question is, can they make it round this first corner?
One would hope.
One would hope.
One would hope they would be able to make that distance. But it's not going to be guaranteed. It depends on the defense or the caliber of it that Disband are going to put out. one.PoinT did do it very quickly on their first attempt. But when it comes down to the wire, And that's a Disband. I've already seen how you handle your A offense. They might have a little bit of something up their sleeve to stop this from happening and history repeating itself.
Interestingly, Miles has switched onto McCree. Now, I don't think this is the best pick on Junkertown. It's such an open map, right? And it tends to be that McCrees, they operate in very closed environments, like places on Ilios, where they can get up and personal with you. There's so many space on Junkertown, it's difficult for him to operate to his maximum value. I think he's hoping that One.PoinT are going to play the dive and he can use that absurd burst that McCree can put in, but in this case, it's not looking like it.
Let's see how it goes. 1 minute 20. Start the clock. They can see that distance just beyond the first checkpoint. And Horthic, he's having a bit of a scout with the Genji, trying to figure out what they're going into. Nice forward setup from that to Disband behind the Orisa shield. This time, though, One.PoinT, they remembered to bring the payload with them from the out, not try this aggressive, arrogant stance, shall we say. Now, Frost, in the flanking position we expect Widowmakers to take. Now, dancing around, sees that trap out, so he's going to remove it. Now Frost holding the angle. They're so far back. They're giving up so much space for this payload, but hopefully they can get the kills where it counts.
And this is where Frost on the Widow can operate these such long angles, and really Mouse can't contend with that at the moment. Tri-Spear going forward, gets taken down by Horthic now, deflect in full effect.
Well, they're playing around the shield as they should do. Frost getting the kills, Horthic getting the kills. Even Malzahn is getting on board. One.PoinT, they're clearing out. That's a Disband. They're having a little bit of contention on this point, but for the most part, they cleared out. They might hit that first checkpoint without even going into overtime, as long as they can get an aggressive stall out here now. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to hold them off, getting it anywhere near this point. There we go. They've hit the first checkpoint. They've got 12 seconds to push it, fractions of inches to get them the win here. And now that's a Disband. They're coming out the gate swinging. They want to make sure they hold this down.
Horthic needs to bring out this steel blade soon, and it needs to be good. He needs to slice through the guys on that Disband, and immediately that will be Miles dropping down. He goes very low. Blade will come out very soon. There it is, into the back lines.
He's going to go straight down and dive onto Izzy. He's been removed from the fight. Self-destruct is sitting there as well. That shield can't keep you alive, Zeal. Frost going to find a double. One.PoinT. They're going to take Junkertown, and they're going to take this series.
Wow, these guys on One.PoinT, they played to their hearts out. One player from that Disband has already left the lobby. They played so very well against One.PoinT. He could have taken it, but each time they forced One.PoinT to go that extra 1 point, and they have delivered today, ladies and gentlemen. They have delivered.
For the amount of times that One.PoinT's been said, that's a lot of points to be putting on the map, and they're going to get themselves more points as they get on to the further on into the trials matchups. Now, they were on a 2-2 scoreline. They're now on a 3-2, which puts them in a very good position to ultimately make it to Contenders Europe. It's all coming up 1 point, and that's a Disband. Fortunately, with now, I believe, a 1-4 scoreline, it's not looking like that's a Disband are going to be able to make it up into Contenders.
Well, you know who knows more about Contenders than those? Potentially, it's the desk.
Thank you so much, Blank. And yes, One.PoinT does go up 3-2, keeping their Contenders' hopes alive. However, that's a Disband, unfortunately, dropping to 1-4. Most likely, a 4-loss team will not make it into Contenders, but that doesn't mean don't keep trying. Don't stop scrimming. Keep doing your best. But we do have a map to break down, and that map is Junkertown. So we're going to go to Lemon first. So, you know, One.PoinT were able to take the victory, but there were definitely some kinks in their armor as that's Disband played better throughout the series. Is it because they seem to run a one-dimensional dive comp, Lemon? We were talking about that a little bit in our notes.
Yeah, I think just to bring up Hanamura, I think that's where you saw the most struggle out of One.PoinT against the Brigitte. And then they started to slowly adapt to it in Junkertown. And I just think Zeal from Disband has just been a fabulous Brigitte to watch. But I felt like Horthic from One.PoinT was starting to handle him pretty well. And on a Genji of all things, yes, there was, I think, one point where he brought out a blade at the end of point C where he got stunned out of it. But every other blade and every other time, I felt like Horthic was handling him, whether on like Genji. He even swapped to a Pharah in point C, and you saw them bring out these counters to Brigitte. He even brought out the Junkrat, which I love that pick as well. Keep that distance, and if you can't beat her, then break her shield and make her useless in that dimension. But There was some issues with Horthic switching to the Tracer against the Brigitte, and then, for example, they played Tracer Widow against the Brigitte, so I wasn't loving that. But I think I mentioned at the beginning of this series that Horthic was the one to watch, and I think he put on such a good show.
Yeah, deep hero pool, right? That kind
Right.
of diversity, adds another element for the team to have to prepare for. Played Sombra, played Genji, played Pharah, probably played some other things as well, but those are the things that came out at me. So for you, who is kind of the MVP of Junkertown and the whole series in general?
Oh, me? Oh, I just Horthic, 100%. I know Zeal came out with some really funny things like the Bastion and was bringing out the Brigitte to counter. So he would be the MVP for that team. But Horthic was just popping off. Every single blade he brought out was effective. And I think he just played a better Genji.
Yep, I'm still thinking about that hack on the Genji inside the well, which feels like a year ago.
Feels
But
bad.
oh man, it's just so funny to just see them fall. I don't know what it is, but
You would love that.
exactly. But Panda, that was a back and forth at Junkertown. Literally could have gone either way. So in the end, for OnePoint, what was it that put him over the edge?
It was just them being quite literally one step ahead, and I talked about this in the pre-show and in the middle of the show even as well. It's one thing that OnePoint and their veterans in their tank lineup and their DPS as well are just understanding in this meta as well. I mean, they saw Brigitte come out. They understood that Zeal was going to pull it out eventually, that when they came around on Junkertown and they were still trying to force that 3-ish, that 3-3 tank, the 3-3 composition coming into the third point, they're already on that spam composition with the Pharmacy as well. So, I mean, you're not really going to make it anywhere close to healing up your members with the flail as Brigitte, as long as you, A, don't have a shield, you're being spammed by Junkrat nades, and B, you're just being barraged every 30 seconds, I believe. Trid and Blank were also losing their minds to that as well. I, too, was about to fall out of my seat at that barrage being built ever so quickly, but that's just the power of running spam into a Brigitte composition like that. You have so much meat just to be whittled down by area of effect damage that it's just so easy for a defensive team on point C Junkertown to shut that down.
Awesome. So Panda, my read on OnePoint, maybe something to work on is consistency. And I think the DPS is kind of the one to talk about, specifically Frost. Frost strikes me as a pretty streaky player. Is that a good read? Is that something they could improve upon? Or in your opinion, what are some other things that OnePoint can take into the rest of their series to really secure their spot in Contenders proper?
Well, that's the thing about a dive-heavy team like OnePoint itself, is that when you use the cooldowns to go further away from Frost, who is typically on a Widowmaker, you're not going to have those cooldowns readily available to jump back for the peel. And that's where most teams, you saw that's a Disband running it today, even in fact, a counter dive. So when the dive came in, they were then going to dive out Frost. Frost was doing well under the pressure, and we saw Frost flanking or flexing over to Tracer in certain situations where the pressure was a little bit immense, but at the end of the day, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Malzauza himself, I know, is a very aggressive tank and has made a stamp in this EU region as a very prevalent Winston player. I mean, and when you play like that, you're going to leave your Widowmaker A, open for snipe opportunities, or to being killed off time and time again. So it's kind of the one thing that you could take from it, I suppose, Boop, is you might want to play a little bit more passive, but I'm talking to Malzauza here, so I know it doesn't mean anything. It's fine. I mean, he's doing okay. Frost was still there to get the resurrection off of the Mercy, readily available right then and there. So I think everything's fine so long as the pressure from the tank line is going into your Widowmaker and Malzauza stays unpunished. Then that's exactly where OnePoint does their best, for sure.
Cool. Well, I just want to remind everybody. Well, Lemon, what did I say was going to be the series victory and who was going to win?
Oh man.
God.
I was hoping he was going to forget.
Was I?
Okay.
Did I say 3-1 OnePoint?
Oh my God, you're like
He may have. He may have. Hello,
I mean,
Oracle.
I might be able to predict the future. Bren can be the Oracle. I got to come up with a different nickname.
I suppose.
But anyway, that is going to be it for us. OnePoint taking the victory for That's a Disband. But that's only going to be it for us for about 10 minutes. We're going to change some people around. So that means we have to thank Blank and Trid for bringing us an amazing cast. And we have Northern Lights versus Team Singularity next. Northern Lights is at that 4 loss already, but they're trying to play spoiler to a resurging Team Singularity. So definitely check that out in about 20 minutes. Should be online soon. But before we go, I'm going to talk a little bit about Broadcast.gg and who we are and what we do. We're kind of a one-stop shop for all things production and talent when it comes to broadcasting. So whether you're a caster, whether you want to produce, just like the producer Pimp, who was our unsung hero of today. And if you even want to learn about the admin stuff, tournament organization, please follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/broadcast. Spelled out DOTGG, and check us out. The link to our Discord is there. You can find a partner, you can get better at casting, and maybe cast right here as well. But that is it for That's Disband versus 1.0. 1.0 going up 3-2. We'll see you guys soon.